to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I am making a layout just because. I am going to be working with this, I was going to say older 49 in Market, but when I looked at the date, it's only a 2020 date, so it's not old, but it's a beach collection, vintage artistry shore. And it's made by Katie Petite is the designer for this. And this is one of those collections that I picked up at Tuesday Morning about a year ago. Of course, as we know, Tuesday Morning is now no longer in business, or if you still have one, they're selling out all of their product at this point in time. So we used to live at Fort Stewart, Georgia. And when we moved, we left behind some amazing friends. And we used to go to the beach with them when we would go back to visit, because you know how it is if you're military, you end up with people who are more like family than just friends. And this particular family is just that to us. So there are no pictures of the kids in this set of photos. I've already scrapbooked one photo from this outing with them in it, and so there's no need to scrapbook another. But I do have a couple of other photos printed that I will scrapbook later of me and my daughter and the kids in the water playing. And on this particular trip, we also met up with my son Garrett, who was stationed in North Carolina with the Marine Corps, and he had come down to Georgia to visit because that's where his wife's family is still located, of course. And so anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start making some cuts here and make a few more decisions about which of these little pieces that I want to use. This is a very small collection, so it came with these they're not really ephemera, they're laser cut die cuts. They almost feel like a chipboard, but a very thin chipboard. Anyway, I love them, and I'm glad that this smaller kit came with them inside it. I also need to decide on a set of thickers or something for a title. So I'll be right back. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off the branding strips from this pattern paper that I'm going to use as my background. The corally color I'm going to use on the background, but of course I'm not going to use the whole thing. I initially cut this, I think 8.5 by 12, but I end up cutting it down to about 7 3/4 of an inch because I wasn't showing enough of the background paper. The next thing I'm going to do with my background paper, I'm going to use this Vicki Boutin stencil. This is from her new collection, Where to Next, and I'm going to use it's Hickory Smoke to kind of randomly do some stenciling on this background. I am trying to make sure that it is only stenciled in places where it will peek out nicely, which is why I end up cutting down that corally piece a little bit. So 49 in Market papers are usually they usually come already pre-printed with lovely mixed media style backgrounds, and so I don't want to overwhelm my background, but I did want to add just a little bit extra, which is why I went ahead and did that stenciling with the Hickory Smoke Distress Oxide ink pad. So I'm also going to distress this coral piece of pattern paper. I like this piece of pattern paper with the photos that I'm going to be scrapbooking because it helps them kind of stand out from the layout. And in a few minutes, you're going to see me distress my photos as well. So I want to talk about that a little bit because I like to distress my photos, especially the photos that I have printed at home on my Epson PictureMate 400. I use Amazon Basics semi-gloss photo paper in my printer. It is a beautiful, lovely, relatively thick photo paper, which makes me super, super happy. And it makes it very easy to distress the edges of the photo. And again, if I were to make a mistake, tear up the photo, or destroy something that I didn't intend to destroy, it would be very easy to just print another photo. I don't like to do that, and I haven't had to do that yet, but I know that that is an option. So I did, as you see, add some of that stenciling to the coral piece of pattern paper as well. Because like I said, I really want just some subtle mixed media going on that I put on myself. You'll have to excuse me here. I grabbed my ATG gun and I keep it in a basket, a wire basket under my desk, and when I pulled it out, it snagged the edge and it broke my tape. So I'm having to rethread it very quickly here on camera. You get to see me play fumble fingers because I'm having a little bit of trouble with this thing because I'm in a hurry, of course. I went ahead and I adhered that long photo mat down onto my background paper and got it lined up, and now I'm going to start working on the distressing of these photos. Now these photos, only one of them is of a shell, the other is of a hermit crab, and maybe I should have just scrapbooked only the hermit crab, but honestly I thought that there were pictures of other things in this little series of photos, but it turns out they were all of the hermit crab that the kids were so excited to find because we don't always find them when we go to the beach, and it was nice to be able to find one and to handle it and to watch it crawl around and stuff. The kids were pretty excited about it, except for Emily. She liked to look at it. She didn't want to touch it. So I knew that I kind of wanted to set these photos up in a grid of some sorts. They are not all the same orientation, so I'm going to call this a wonky grid. And I don't have an even number of photos either. There are 5 rather than 4 or 6 to make a nice even grid. Now I did off camera make some choices for my thickers. I chose that map set of thickers there, and now I'm just going to start playing around with this laser cut ephemera. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I really like this ephemera. It's nice and thick. It's not paper. It's more of a very thin chipboard, and you can tell when you look at it, it's been laser cut. It is just beautiful. You do have to be careful pulling it out. As you saw, I broke that piece of seaweed, and it's okay because I'm going to be able to get it glued on there, and you're not even going to be able to tell. So I was hoping to use that net piece there on the layout, and I decide that I'm not going to after all when I pull out this coral piece of seaweed because it's too large and there's no way to actually use the net without covering up that piece of coral seaweed. So I'm just going to set it aside, and I'm going to do some layering with some other of the pieces now. I'm pretty much just playing around with the pieces, just kind of layering it up here and there. As you can see, my photos aren't glued down or anything, and so I'm just kind of getting an idea of what I want on the layout before I stop the camera and do any gluing. So once I get this lower left hand embellishment cluster kind of looking the way that I want, I'm going to pull out this set of thickers, I wanted my title to say Beach Treasures. That's going to be too big for the area that I have chosen to put my title. So I'm going to use those thickers for the word treasures, but then I have that piece of ephemera that says beach. And that is how I'm going to have that title, Beach Treasures. Do know that we didn't keep the hermit crab. We turned him loose within probably within 5 minutes of picking him up. We just wanted to hold him and take pictures and kind of ooh and ah over God's creation. Like I said, we don't get to see those in person very often, and we were really tickled to actually find one to handle that day. So I created another embellishment cluster down there in the lower right hand corner. It is going to be much smaller than my first embellishment cluster, and that one's going to be the largest of the three, and I'm going to create another one up here in the upper right hand corner as well. So I also decided that I was going to go ahead and use a label on my layout so that I could get some journaling on here. I'm so sorry, I'm not zoomed out enough for you to actually see the whole layout. I think when I was recording this part, I only intended to do this journaling area and then stop the camera, but then my brain got going and I didn't remember that I needed to stop and restart, or at the very least zoom out. So I apologize for that. What I will do next is I'm going to put glue in various places on the embellishment clusters, and I'm going to add some sequins from this button and sequin mix that will come on camera here in just a minute. Again, I apologize that you cannot see what I'm going to do next very well. What I do is I add some Scotch quick dry glue around my embellishment clusters, and I'm going to use that beautiful Pink Fresh Studios tool to put sequins. I'm only using the sequins from this mix. I'm not going to use the buttons or the beads at all, just the sequins. And I'm just going to kind of put them in various places to add a little bit of sparkle and shine to my layout. I am going to pull up the finished layout here for you so that you can look at it instead of not being able to see what I'm doing. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. I appreciate those of you who take the time to like, subscribe, and or comment on my videos. That lets YouTube know that my content is being watched and appreciated by my subscribers, so keep doing that. And if you are not a subscriber and would like to be, go ahead and click that button below. It will always be free to subscribe to my channel. If you subscribe, YouTube will let you know when I have a video go live. I currently have 3 other videos in premiere mode waiting to go live, so YouTube will let you know when those go live. Thank you so much again. You have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.